Hello, welcome to the weekly series 1 Year with the Ramchal. And the weekly portion was Vayigash. ולא יוכל יוסף להתאפק לכל הניצבים אליו, ויקרא הוציא כל איש מעליו ולא עמד איש איתו בהתוועדת יוסף אל אחיו. Then Joseph could not refrain himself before all them that stood by him, and he cried, cause every man to go out from me. And there stood no man with him, while Joseph made himself known unto these brethren. Joseph could not reveal his identity in Egypt, especially when everyone recognized him as basically a viceroy, the second in command. ולא יכול Yosef, then Joseph could not. That implies that he could not restrain himself, not because he had a cold nature. Indeed, he wanted to disclose his identity, but the awareness of his position held him back. So the wisdom behind this situation is reflected in the verse from the Kohelet. To everything there is a reason, and there is a time to every purpose under the heaven. This will emphasize the importance of timing and understanding the appropriate moment for actions. Joseph's restraint in revealing his identity highlights the wisdom of waiting for the right time and the right circumstances. לכל זמן ועת לכל חפץ תחת השמיים. This is what the Kohelet says, that I firstly read it to explain it to you in English. Everything has its the proper time, and it is worthwhile to adore that this at all times. In this case, for Joseph's dream could not come true, as stated in the Torah. As we know, it had to go through this internal process. This required facing the challenges, including being sold, especially in connection with Potiphar's wife, and descending even deeper into the depth of the prison, with the help of which it would later lead into the creator and the providential intervention that we know. So Joseph had to remain hidden for a while, but the right time basically will come for him, and that moment he could reveal himself to his brothers and embrace them. So the period during which he had to remain hidden from his brothers pertained to this. ולא יכול יוסף להתאפק לכל הניצבים אליו. So then Joseph could not refrain himself before all them that stood by him. So Joseph had already suffered greatly from the desire to reveal his true identity and finally be with his brothers. That is the reason he sent everyone away, and he expelled the religiously impure Egyptians around him, that he remained alone by himself and only his brothers. So those were connection with the divine as pure. So he just sent away all the people that weren't belonging to the neshama Yehudit. ועתה לא אתם שלחתם אותי הנה, כי האלוקים וישמנו לאב, לפרעה ולאדון לכל ביתו, ומושל בכל ארץ מצרים. So now it was not you that sent me hither, but God, and had made me father to Egypt, and the God of his house, and ruler over the land of Egypt. So the divine providence led Joseph to this point. Through this, we understand that every single thing is part of a great plan. And there is a purpose behind why things happen to us. This contributes to the rectification, the tikkun of ourselves and the tikkun of others. If we think that when Joseph was sold by his brothers, it considers something that was a mistake or something that is a negative, so the action itself basically is wrong, we wouldn't do it, but from it something good emerges. Because when Joseph overcame all the challenges that open up the possibility of becoming a viceroy, that he would never ended up in Egypt. If Joseph hadn't embarked on his path, he never reached this point, as we know. So these bonuses are earned by those who deserve them. So Joseph earned the right to be in such position, but it is required many sacrifices and sufferings. So he had to leave his beloved father's house and so on. How he went on the prison, and then he remained many years. So, however, during the time of the famine, Joseph's action saved Jacob and his family, so that the Egyptians weren't obligated to share from their accumulated grain supplies or food for others. So he could choose basically to whom they give what. Okay, and that was the help of Joseph to Jacob and his family. אתם תהיה על ביתי ועל פיך ישק כל עמי, רק הכיסא יגדל ממך. Two shall be over my house, and according to my word shall all my people be ruled. Only in the throne will I be greater than you. רק הכיסא יגדל ממך. Only the throne will be greater than you. We are examining the relationship between Joseph and Pharaoh. In the Egyptian mindset, Pharaoh as the son of God, held by the physical authority ruling over everything. So Joseph was the one Pharaoh could rely on. We can observe a kind of a parent-child relationship between them, with Pharaoh being the child, relying on his parent in case this was Joseph for solution. Okay, so each time, so Joseph had to be solve all these things that had a problem whenever had the problem in Egypt. So Pharaoh is the child who looks to his parent for solution, and Joseph received a ring from Pharaoh, symbolizing the endorsement of his authority. So every decision had to be sanctioned by his ring, essentially making Joseph the conduit for all administrative matters. Pharaoh provided the prestige, while the extensive workload fell upon Joseph. And then we have finally the point we were going to arrive when Joseph meets his brothers after few meetings. מהרו ועליו אל אביו ואמרתם אליו כה אמר בנך יוסף שמעני אלוקים לאדון לכל מצרים רדה עלי אל תעמוד. Hasten ye and go up to my father and say unto him, this say that son Joseph, God had made me the God of all Egypt, come down into me, tarry not. So we have here Ko Amar saying to him. The expression implies to Jacob that despite all circumstances, Joseph maintained his connection with the divine, true, and his soul didn't falter into these moral challenges. He continued to be a follower of his father's path, father's lineage. Bincha Yosef, your son Joseph, suggests that Joseph remained his father's son through preserving a deep sense of parental respect within. And when, according to the story, the elder Jacob had to go on to his son, it was merely a matter of his position and dignity that Joseph was at that point. Normally, the son should go to the parent, but this is the situation is reversed. The meeting between Joseph and Jacob should not all be viewed as a moment of joy between father and son, but also as a spiritual level. This encounter connects Jacob, that is Tiferet, belonging to the Sephirah of Tiferet, and Joseph is belonging to the Yesod. So they meet, and also these Sephirot are meeting together. ויברך יעקב את פרעה ויצא מלפני פרעה. And Jacob blessed Pharaoh and went out from the presence of Pharaoh. So Jacob blessed Pharaoh. Why did Pharaoh need this blessing at all? Egypt received its energy from Chesed, which is the kindness. So this is a water element that the divine granted to humanity and the living world. So in nature, its purpose is to sustain the creation. So in Egypt, the existence of energy of the Nile, it is very crucial. So the river Nile, it is very crucial, and that is determining the abundance of scarcity. So various events are connected to the Nile River. For instance, we're having Pharaoh receive the blessing from Jacob beside the Nile to strengthen the blessing and gain power and abundance. And one of the plagues, when the water turns into blood, this is significant changes, a symbol like chesed is going to the blood, the judgment, or din, and the divine passes judgment over the Egyptian people. So this is one plague is belonging to the Nile as well. And later on, the water of the Nile is also having an important part in Egypt when the splitting of the Red Sea. So that was the point that allowed the Israelites to leave Egypt and head towards the Holy Land, and after the years of exile. There's another event related to the significance of water in Egypt. So that was for today, and see you next week. Thank you.